shrimp on treadmills, glow-in-the-dark beer cans. And yes, your tax dollars paid for it. But that's just the start. From squirrel-proof bird feeders to rats learning to drive, these aren't just bad decisions. They're government-funded masterpieces of absurdity. Get ready to laugh, cringe, and maybe question reality itself. Let's dive into the weirdest spending spree you've never asked for. 1. In the early 2000s, the US government spent $30,000 trying to crack the mystery of goth culture. Researchers dove into why teens wore black, piled on eyeliner, and blasted My Chemical Romance. But let's be honest, any trip to Hot Topic could have saved the budget. Turns out, it's just a phase, with killer soundtracks. 2. $3 million went to studying how shrimp run on treadmills. This bizarre experiment was supposed to study how environmental changes affect marine life. But honestly, could we not have just asked the shrimp how they feel? Meanwhile, those tiny treadmills probably cost more than your Peloton. 3. $1.3 million was spent researching chlamydia in koalas, a serious epidemic threatening their survival. While saving koalas is important, imagine the pitch meeting. So we're sending taxpayer money to Australia for koala STDs. Somewhere, a koala is living its best soap opera life. 4. Deep in the Pentagon, someone declared war on lukewarm coffee. Their solution? A $1,020 cup for fighter pilots. Sure, it keeps drinks hot mid-flight, but when a Starbucks mug does the same for $20, you start to question if this was really a battle worth fighting. 5. $35,000 went towards studying how people fall in love online. Scientists hope to decode the magic behind digital romance, but honestly, they could have just hung out on Tinder for free. Pro tip: good memes and zero ghosting beat algorithms every time. 6. Somewhere at a state fair, a $2.5 million Star Wars-themed musical was unleashed on unsuspecting audiences. Meant to engage the public, it ended up being as cringy as Jar Jar Binks himself. Somewhere, a stormtrooper is regretting every step ball change. 7. Yoga classes for federal employees cost $700,000. The idea was to reduce workplace stress, but maybe fixing the source of stress would have been a better use of funds. Meanwhile, taxpayers are still waiting for their complimentary Savasana session. 8. The government spent $500,000 developing a Mars menu for future astronauts. While planning meals for the red planet sounds cool, we haven't even figured out how to get there yet. It's like designing dessert for a restaurant that hasn't been built. 9. Lab rats, stress, and tiny cups of booze. That's the $22,000 study to see if anxious rats drink more alcohol. Spoiler, they do. Now, all I can imagine is a rodent support group. 10. $1 million was spent studying whether dogs yawn when humans yawn. The verdict? They mostly don't care. While it's an interesting take on empathy, wouldn't that money have been better spent building more dog parks? At least the tails would have wagged. 11. Ever been left on red in a group chat? Turns out, that feeling of frustration was worth $2.6 million in research. Scientists confirmed what we all knew. Getting ignored is universally annoying. So next time your meme goes unanswered, just know taxpayers helped prove your pain is real. 12. $300,000 was spent investigating if dinosaurs could sing. While the science is fascinating, it's hard not to imagine a T-Rex auditioning for a prehistoric American Idol. Let's just say, it probably wouldn't win any Grammys. 13. Imagine a turtle wearing an Iron Man suit. No, it's not a movie pitch. It's a $150,000 project to build exoskeletons for injured turtles. It's heartwarming, sure, but I can't help wondering, when do humans get this upgrade? 14. Deep in the halls of the Department of Defense, someone approved $50,000 to study the mating habits of goldfish. Was this about aquatic ecosystems, or just a chance to watch fish flirt? Either way, these goldfish are living their best lives. 15. In the middle of Arkansas, a team built a medieval castle from scratch, by hand. The cost? $1.5 million. The goal? To study ancient construction techniques. The result? A taxpayer-funded Renaissance fair in the Ozarks. 16. Ever watched a movie and thought, you know what's missing? The smell. Apparently, so did someone in the government who spent over $2 million developing smell-o-vision. Sure, it could enhance perfume ads, but imagine using it during a garbage truck documentary. 17. Afghanistan, a country with vast deserts. So why did someone spend $19 million on forest camouflage uniforms for its soldiers? A quick geography lesson could have saved millions, and a lot of awkward stares. 18. Russian students received $600,000 worth of social media training to promote cultural understanding. Meanwhile, the rest of us are still trying to figure out TikTok trends without a government grant. 19. $2.6 million was spent studying whether people are more likely to smile at strangers when walking dogs. The findings confirm that dogs are social catalysts. Basically, your pup is the ultimate icebreaker, and now we know for sure why dog parks are friendlier than grocery stores. 20. A $5 million app promised to track wild bears, keeping hikers safe. Great idea, until it crashed more often than Windows XP. What we got instead was an overpriced glitchy game of Where's Waldo? With bears. 21. Imagine a shrimp floating in zero gravity, tiny helmet and all. That's basically what $750,000 went toward. Studying how long shrimp can survive in space. Cool for science, but back on Earth, most of us are just trying to afford shrimp cocktail. 22. A comedy club for scientists sounds like the setup to a joke. But no, it cost $1.7 million to teach researchers humor for better communication. While I'd pay to hear a physicist stand up about quantum mechanics, couldn't they just hit up a free improv class? 23. Can selfies make people happier? Someone spent $500,000 to find out. The answer, yes, apparently. But let's be real, the joy of a good selfie doesn't need a government grant. It just needs a ring light and the perfect filter. 24. Traffic jams make people angry. Breaking news, right? That revelation cost $2.9 million. Instead of running studies, they could have just sent one researcher to the 405 freeway and watched the honking chaos unfold. 25. A $300,000 musical about climate change is real, and it happened. Picture actors belting out show tunes about rising sea levels and melting glaciers. While the message is important, maybe just planting trees would have been a better finale. 26. Somewhere, $200,000 was spent teaching pigeons to play slot machines. Yes, pigeons. While it's supposedly about understanding gambling behaviors, I can't stop picturing flocks of them storming Vegas casinos, feathers flying as they hit the jackpot. 27. Swedish massages for rabbits. It's not a spa promo, it's a $1 million government study. The goal was to explore stress relief, but now I can't unsee a bunny in a bathrobe with a cucumber slice on each eye. 28. Afraid of clowns? You're not alone, and apparently that fear cost $350,000 to study. While psychologists dug into our coulrophobia, the rest of us could have just pointed at Pennywise and said, "This guy. Problem solved." 29. Can robots replace therapists? $600,000 later, the answer is, not really. Turns out a cold, blinking AI saying, "Tell me more about your childhood," doesn't exactly scream comforting. 30. A luxury toilet for cats sounds like a billionaire's dream, but it's real, and it costs $10,000. High-tech litter boxes to monitor feline health are great, but let's face it, these cats are living better than most humans. 31. Ever tried recognizing someone's face upside down? Researchers spent $1.2 million studying how well people can do it. Their findings? It's hard. Every kid who's drawn an upside-down teacher in art class could have told them that, and saved the taxpayers a fortune. 32. Why do angry people binge-watch TV? That question cost $2 million to answer. Turns out, it's about stress relief, aka zoning out with Netflix after a bad day. Somewhere, the "Are you still watching?" button is nodding smugly, knowing its purpose in life is secure. 33. Meet the chicken cannon, a $450,000 invention for testing airplane windshields against bird strikes. Practical? Absolutely. But let's not ignore the image of someone shouting, "Ready, aim, fire!" while launching poultry at high speeds? Aviation safety or a Monty Python audition? 34. $3.5 million was spent giving cocaine to quails to study how drugs affect mating habits. Spoiler: the quails became party animals. While the science might be important, explaining this research at a family barbecue? Absolutely not. 35. Can cartoon characters make kids love vegetables? An $800,000 study tried to find out. The answer: not even SpongeBob can make broccoli cool. Imagine a 6-year-old saying, "Thanks, Bugs Bunny, but I'll stick with pizza." 36. The Department of Defense spent $1.1 million studying crab legs, specifically how crabs regrow them. The goal was to inspire medical advances, but somewhere, a chef is crying over perfectly good crab legs that never made it to the dinner table. 37. Someone thought sideways elevators were the future. $900,000 later, a horizontal lift was installed in a government building. Fancy? Maybe. Functional? Not really. It broke so often, they probably wished they'd just stuck with escalators. 38. Why do people love taking photos of their food? A $500,000 study attempted to crack the code. The groundbreaking conclusion? Food pics get likes, and likes make people happy. Next time, just ask Instagram. It's been saying that for free. 39. Can fish recognize themselves in mirrors? A $2.4 million study tried to find out. The verdict? Some fish loved their reflections, others didn't care. Honestly, it's the same reaction cats have, but at least cats didn't cost us millions. 40. Glow-in-the-dark plants sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but $600,000 went into making it a reality. Sustainable lighting? Cool. Replacing your desk lamp with a glowing fern. Maybe wait until it stops looking like a low-budget disco. 41. $1.7 million to study how to make baristas more efficient. Yep, someone thought latte logistics were a national priority. The verdict? Shorter lines work better than faster foam art. Somewhere, a taxpayer is shaking their head over this grandized irony. 42. Picture cows in methane-collecting suits, wandering fields like eco-friendly astronauts. That's what $2 million went toward, capturing cow burps to fight climate change. The science checks out, but the mental image? Pure comedy gold. 43. A $3.2 million robot that laughs like a human sounds cool until it doesn't. Instead of relatable chuckles, it's more villain in a sci-fi horror movie. If the goal was to make AI comforting, they missed the mark by about a light year. 44. Can people run faster on a conveyor belt? That burning question cost $600,000 to answer. Turns out, the treadmill wins. Somewhere, an actual ninja warrior is laughing at our tax-funded attempt to reinvent the wheel of running. 45. Why teach farming when you can simulate it in a video game? That's exactly what $4 million created, a virtual agriculture simulator. Meanwhile, Farmville players everywhere are saying, "Welcome to 2009. 46. Ever wonder why flies are so hard to swat? $1.5 million was spent analyzing their ninja-level reflexes. The results might help pest control, but for the rest of us, the fight continues, with rolled-up newspapers and a lot of yelling. 47. Someone spent $350,000 teaching shrimp to moonwalk. Well, sort of. It was a study on marine life and complex tasks. While the shrimp technically nailed it, I'm betting Michael Jackson never imagined his legacy would lead here. 48. Folding laundry got a $1 million research grant. The goal? Optimize household chores. The real takeaway? Nobody folds laundry properly anyway. Just give us robots and let the socks pair themselves. 49. Male monkeys throwing tantrums when they don't get their way. Sounds familiar, right? This $2.8 million study on frustration proves that primates and humans have more in common than we'd like to admit. Except our tantrums don't come with a research grant. 50. Underwater Wi-Fi sounds like sci-fi genius, right? $700,000 went into making it a reality. Meanwhile, the rest of us can't even get decent Wi-Fi at our favorite coffee shops. But hey, at least the fish are connected. 51. $3 million to study how bees fly in the wind. The goal? Improving drone technology by mimicking bees. While the science is cool, it's hard not to picture a bee union demanding compensation for their unpaid military consulting gig. 52. Ever wonder why ketchup pours differently than water? Apparently, the government did, spending $1.4 million to figure it out. Instead of smoother ketchup, maybe they should have just given everyone free bottles of Heinz. Problem solved. 53. Robot squirrels versus rattlesnakes. It's not a sci-fi movie, it's a $5.2 million study. While the research helped biologists understand predator-prey dynamics, I can't stop imagining a robotic squirrel action series on Animal Planet. Squirreltron. Battle in the desert. 54. Emojis got an $800,000 research spotlight to figure out their role in modern communication. The conclusion? Emojis express tone. Groundbreaking. Meanwhile, Gen Z is out here saying, duh. 55. A $2.3 million machine that sorts cucumbers by size and shape? Sounds like the robot version of a vegetable snob. Imagine introducing yourself as a cucumber sorting specialist at parties. Guaranteed conversation starter or ender. 56. Dog tail wags got $1.1 million worth of analysis. Right means happy, left means unsure, useful, sure. But wouldn't that money have been better spent on more dog parks? The tails would have wagged themselves. 57. Coffee cooling rates got a $4.5 million study. The findings? Containers matter. Thanks, science, but every grandma already knew the solution. Just get a thermos. 58. Salad vending machines sounded futuristic. Until $600,000 later, they broke constantly. People just wanted chips anyway. Somewhere, a vending machine repairman is living his best life, thanks to this leafy disaster. 59. A $1.9 million medieval sword fight simulation. It's supposed to teach ancient combat techniques, but let's be real. Someone probably pitched this just to reenact Game of Thrones scenes in a lab coat. 60. Watching ants dig tunnels might sound like a science fair project, but this $3.7 million study aimed to revolutionize disaster recovery. While ants might be tiny architects, it's hard not to imagine researchers cheering them on like a slow-motion Olympic event. 61. For $2.6 million, we got a virtual Mars driving simulator. Cool, sure. But instead of inspiring space exploration, it mostly makes you wish they'd just funded an actual trip to Mars. Somewhere, Elon Musk is shaking his head in disbelief. 62. $1.3 million went into studying why fruit flies get tipsy on rotting fruit. The idea was to learn about addiction, but honestly, it sounds like a tiny frat party in the name of science. Even fruit flies need to let loose, apparently. 63. Backyard barbecues got an $800,000 makeover through government research. While it aimed to encourage community bonding, let's be real. Burgers, beer, and good company don't need a federally funded manual. 64. Gaming as a life skill? $7 million proved that video games slightly improve multitasking. So, the next time you're fighting zombies, just call it federally approved productivity training. Controllers up, people. 65. How many licks does it take to finish a lollipop? $1.5 million says about 1,000. Great info. But did we really need millions to confirm what a cartoon owl told us decades ago? Science. Catching up with nostalgia since forever. 66. For $500,000, we learned that fish recognize human faces. While it's a breakthrough in animal memory, now I can't stop picturing a goldfish silently judging me for not cleaning its tank. The shade is real. 67. A $3.4 million gadget tracks how often people open their fridges. Spoiler. It's a lot, mostly to stare at leftovers we're avoiding. Somewhere, a scientist is sighing, "We didn't need a grant for this." 68. $900,000 to study how kids fall. The findings? Softer playground surfaces work best. Moms everywhere could have saved the budget by shouting, "Be careful," while handing out Band-Aids. 69. Are selfies narcissistic? 1.2 million says no. They're just a reflection of how we see ourselves. So, next time you snap one, just call it participating in cutting-edge psychological research. 70. Zebras have stripes to ward off flies. $600,000 confirmed this, but the real mystery is why flies hate stripes. Somewhere in the savannah, zebras are laughing at us for overthinking their wardrobe choices. 71. Scientists spent $1.8 million crafting cat-specific music with purring and meowing sounds. The results? Cats might enjoy their personalized playlists. Meanwhile, the rest of us are left wondering if cats will demand Spotify subscriptions next. 72. Zombie apocalypse scenarios got a $2.5 million simulation treatment. While it's supposed to help model societal collapse, let's face it, this sounds like a scientific excuse to binge-watch The Walking Dead. The final verdict? We'd probably not make it. 73. Imagine funding a $3.1 million robot to mimic human emotions, only for it to look like it's silently judging you. Think of your toaster glaring at you for burning bread. Welcome to the slightly unsettling future of passive-aggressive tech. 74. Jazz solos and airflow. $4 million went into studying how much air passes through a saxophone. The goal was to improve instrument design, but somewhere, Kenny G is shaking his head and thinking, you could have just asked. 75. Making grapes sweeter without sugar costs $600,000. While the idea is noble, couldn't they have just rebranded raisins as nature's candy? Somewhere, a farmer is side-eyeing this grape drama with a heavy sigh. 76. Pigeons admiring their reflection sounds vain, but $1.4 million confirmed they recognize themselves in mirrors. Essentially, pigeons are the influencers of the bird world, one reflection at a time. 77. $5.2 million was spent on a pizza-delivering drone that never quite delivered. Test flights failed spectacularly, proving once again that sometimes a scooter and a GPS are all you really need for your pepperoni fix. 78. The allure of reality TV got an $800,000 deep dive. Researchers confirmed people love drama and feeling better about their own lives. A groundbreaking revelation, or something the Bachelor producers could have told us for free. 79. Penguin's iconic waddle was the subject of a $2 million study. Turns out, waddling is energy efficient. While adorable, it's hard to see how this insight will change much, unless we all decide to start waddling to work. 80. Imagine a future where your smart assistant wags its tail when you power it up. That's the vision $3.7 million tried to realize by studying how people respond to animal-shaped robots. Spoiler: dog-like machines won our hearts, proving once again that tech wrapped in fur always wins. 81. $2.1 million later, we confirmed what your grandma's been saying forever. Happiness isn't about where you live. It's about the people around you. So next time someone blames the city for their bad mood, just remind them, it's not Starbucks' fault. 82. NASA's $3.9 million effort to make space food taste like home resulted in dehydrated lasagna with a side of nostalgia. While it's great for morale, you can't help but wonder if Grandma's recipe cards would have been a cheaper solution. 83. Barefoot productivity got an $800,000 boost in research funding. Some workers thrived without shoes. Others just froze their toes off. Imagine pitching to your boss, "No shoes, no problem. It's science." 84. Corgis and kittens have been saving workplace productivity, one adorable photo at a time. $1.5 million in research confirmed that staring at cute animals makes us work better. But let's be honest, didn't we already know this? Somewhere, a corgi is modestly wagging its tail. 85. Simulating dinosaurs in today's ecosystems cost $2.7 million, only to prove that most wouldn't survive, except chickens, which are technically modern-day dinos. Next Thanksgiving, when the turkey's served, you can thank evolution for keeping T-Rex on the menu. 86. Laundry robots sounded revolutionary until $4 million later, they folded shirts at a snail's pace. 20 minutes per shirt. At this speed, it's faster to invite your mom over and let her take the lead. Moms. Undefeated champions of chores. 87. Ever dreamed of flying dinosaurs after crashing on a friend's couch? Turns out, $3.2 million says that unfamiliar beds trigger vivid dreams. So next time it happens, Just call it cutting-edge science instead of a weird night. 88. Procrastination research received $600,000 to confirm what we all know. Fear of failure and lack of motivation are to blame. The irony? The study itself took 3 years to finish, living the research one delayed deadline at a time. 89. Dogs may not get the punchline, but $1.9 million proved they love the sound of your laughter. To them, every giggle is just a sign you're happy, even if you're laughing at their goofy fetch fails. Who's the good boy now? 90. Sunglasses for chickens aren't just a joke. They're a $5 million reality. Designed to prevent pecking in crowded coops, they actually worked. But the mental image of hens strutting in aviators? That's comedy gold straight out of Chicken Run 2. 91. Holding a warm drink apparently makes people kinder. $2.3 million worth of research confirms it. Warm hands, warm heart, they say. Somewhere, Starbucks marketers are kicking themselves for not coming up with this tagline sooner. 92. Late-night Instagram binges? $4.1 million was spent proving they ruin teens' sleep. While this might feel groundbreaking to scientists, it's old news to every parent who's confiscated a phone at 2 a.m. 93. Zero-gravity furniture got a $1.6 million makeover for astronauts. Think couches that don't float away. A nice idea, but something tells me space explorers are more worried about survival than finding the perfect lounge position. 94. $700,000 revealed that people touch their faces about 23 times an hour. Now that you know, you'll probably catch yourself doing it mid-thought. Hygiene awareness or just paranoia? Either way, science wins. 95. Fish getting seasick sounds ridiculous, but $3.5 million confirmed it's real. Picture them swirling in the currents, feeling just as queasy as you on a rough boat ride. Even marine life has bad travel days. 96. Plants might not have ears, but 2 million says they groove to jazz. Vibration reactions suggest that somewhere, houseplants are swaying to Miles Davis, while your succulents look on in disapproval, thirsty as ever. 97. The butter side-down toast conundrum isn't just bad luck, it's physics, proven by a $1.8 million study. Apparently, it's all about table height. Revolutionary? Maybe. Worth wasting perfectly good toast? Debatable. 98. A robot companion for the elderly with empathy and voice recognition cost $2.7 million to develop. Heartwarming, sure, but the idea of grandma chatting with a mechanical friend is both futuristic and slightly eerie. 99. $900,000 was spent decoding why we laugh at awkward moments. It's how we handle stress, apparently. So next time you giggle when someone stumbles, and they're fine, just call it a biologically approved coping mechanism. 100. Sunny days brighten moods. No surprises there. $3 million confirmed that sunshine equals smiles. For those stuck in constant rain, though, let's hope the next study finds a solution to perpetual gloom. 101. Scented stamps featuring coffee and chocolate aromas cost $1.5 million to develop. While it's a fun idea, it didn't convince anyone to swap email for snail mail. Somewhere, USPS is wondering why scratch and sniff envelopes didn't revolutionize communication. When you step back and look at it, these bizarre government expenses aren't just random. They're a strange reflection of creativity, misplaced priorities, and maybe a little too much budget freedom. Sure, some of them are laughably absurd, but they also make you wonder, what if this money had been spent on schools, healthcare, or fixing potholes in your neighborhood? It's a wild ride through a system that often feels upside down. But hey, at least it gave us glow-in-the-dark beer cans. What would you spend this money on? Let us know in the comments, and who knows? Maybe your idea would even make the next 101 list.